All right, our last little tricky concepts video here is going to look at the hormonal regulation of sodium reabsorption in the kidney, in the nephrons. And the hormone that's responsible for stimulating sodium reabsorption in the nephron is a hormone called aldosterone. It's a steroid hormone made by the adrenal gland. So let's back up and talk about the production of aldosterone, because it's kind of a tricky story. Your liver produces and secretes a protein into the plasma known as angiotensinogen. Angiotensinogen is a relatively inactive protein. We don't know any real function for it. But angiotensinogen is acted upon by an enzyme in the plasma, and this enzyme comes from the kidneys. This enzyme is known as renin. It's not renin, and it's not a hormone. It's an enzyme that catalyzes the cleavage of angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. All right, so renin catalyzes the production of angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 is not a very active hormone. There's not a lot of actions for it. In fact, it probably doesn't exist in the circulation as angiotensin 1 very long, because as angiotensin 1 passes through the blood, through the circulation, and that blood brushes up against endothelial cells inside blood vessels, angiotensin 1 is converted to the active hormone angiotensin 2 by another enzyme called the angiotensin converting enzyme, or ACE. Now the book likes to draw the lungs here, and that's okay, but ACE is found throughout the body, and most endothelial cells have ACE exposed to the bloodstream so that as angiotensin 1 comes through, it gets cleaved to angiotensin 2. The highest concentrations of ACE are indeed in the pulmonary capillaries, pulmonary circulation, so it's okay to have the lungs there. Truth is, ACE is distributed throughout the body. But now we produce angiotensin 2. And angiotensin 2 is a very active hormone. It does a couple different things. One action of angiotensin 2 is to constrict arterioles, make them smaller. And angiotensin 2 is very potent, very powerful in its ability to constrict arterioles, make them smaller. This elevates total peripheral resistance. Another action of angiotensin 2 is to stimulate the adrenal gland to make another hormone. And angiotensin 2 stimulates the adrenal gland to produce the steroid hormone aldosterone. Aldosterone, steroid hormone, principal role is to stimulate the distal tubule and the collecting duct to make more sodium pumps. It's a steroid hormone, stimulates the production of these big proteins, these pumps in the distal tubule and collecting duct. And this allows the distal tubule and collecting duct to reabsorb more sodium. Ultimately, in these regions, in the distal tubule and collecting duct, this reabsorption of sodium is under this hormone control, aldosterone. Now, we have to ask ourselves, when is aldosterone levels elevated? This is a pretty complex axis, as we like to say. Well, the rate-limiting step in the production of aldosterone, and thus the rate-limiting step in the hormonal control of sodium reabsorption in the kidney, is the production of renin, that enzyme, by the kidney. As renin levels change, so does the production of aldosterone. So, let's focus on what regulates renin release. Renin release is increased from the kidney when there's a reduction in plasma sodium. This actually is sensed by the kidney itself. Renin release is also increased by the kidney when there's a reduction in mean arterial blood pressure. The sympathetic nervous system is engaged to stimulate renin in this case. These are the two primary regulators of renin release. As renin levels go up, so does the production of the steroid hormone aldosterone. And this stimulates increased reabsorption of sodium ion out of the distal tubule and the collecting duct. Why this focus on sodium ion? Sodium ion is the principal solute in the human plasma. So, there's some factors and hormonal factors that control sodium ion concentration. Plasma osmolality is a very tightly regulated variable. We already saw the role of the antidiuretic hormone vasopressin in water reabsorption. The other side of the coin, of course, is the solute itself, the sodium ion. And the sodium ion concentration is primarily regulated by the hormone aldosterone. Production of the hormone aldosterone ultimately relies on the rate of renin release by the kidneys. So if you can understand the rate of this enzyme's released by kidneys, you can understand the production rate of aldosterone and thus the degree to which the sodium ion is reabsorbed in the distal tubule and collecting duct.